this is Light on Leeds and my name is Hazel Millichamp. On this episode I have Carl Hutton, who is the Chief Executive at the Leeds Library, which is the city's oldest cultural institution. Carl tells me about the Grade 2 listed building, the resident ghost Sternberg, and how the library was founded in 1768 by the discoverer of oxygen and a legendary chemist, Joseph Priestley. Have a listen. My name is Hazel Millichamp and this is the Light on Leeds podcast. For this week's edition, I have Carl Hutton, who is the Chief Executive at the Leeds Library. Hello, Carl.
Good morning, Hazel.
Thank you so very much for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Carl, can you tell me, for people who don't know anything about it, about the Leeds Library?
Yeah, the Leeds Library, we're an independent membership subscription library. We're based on Commercial Street in the centre of Leeds. We're the oldest library of our kind in the UK, and we're the oldest cultural institution in the whole of Leeds. So we were founded in 1768 by Joseph Priestley, who is a radical thinker, scientist and preacher, and a few of his friends. So we've been going for over 250 odd years. We have a number of members, over 1,000 members, but we also do plenty of events also for anyone to turn up. So we're not exclusive. We want as many people in Leeds to know that we exist and to check the building out.
Of course, yeah, and I've been lucky enough to visit, and it's just such a stunning building, isn't it? I bet it must feel like a privilege to work there.
Yeah, it's an amazing building, and it's sort of because it's a lot of the library is above ground level. Not a lot of people know we exist, but it's one of the most beautiful buildings in Leeds, and we would just love to see people come and check us out and have a look at sort of the surroundings and the environment. The building's Grade 2 listed, and it was built in 1808, so it's one of the finest buildings in the city centre.
It really is, but it's sort of hidden away, isn't it?
Yeah, for those that wouldn't know it, if you're on Commercial Street and you are around the Co-op Bank and Paper Chase and there's a doorway in between the two shops. That's the entrance to the library. And if you look up, you'll see this wonderful Georgian facade that I think a lot of people in life don't look above ground height, sort of eye level. But if you look upwards, the building is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I follow a hashtag on Instagram called Look Up Leeds because I think I'm sure it's the same in a lot of cities, but especially in Leeds, some of the places you look up, it's like little palaces on top of the shops.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at Briggate, if you look at Commercial Street, a lot of also Hedgerow, the buildings are stunning, but because the buildings are all roughly the same sort of height, they don't stand out as much as they might do, say, in London or in Edinburgh. But the architecture in Leeds is really, really good.
It definitely is. And how did you get involved with the Leeds Library yourself, Carl?
I joined the library about just over 5 years ago. I'd previously been working for English Heritage, and I'd spent a lot of time commuting and travelling to jobs, and I just really wanted to commit to a job that was based in the place that I lived, and I felt I could sort of make a difference with. And I thought the library was a bit of a curiosity because it's a bit of a contradiction in terms because it's a membership subscription library, so people pay to be members. But obviously people perceive libraries to be a free service and accessible to everybody. So I liked the challenge of trying to make sense of a library that people join to be members of, but is also a charity and to engage more people. And I think the last 5 years has been really enjoyable.
And what kind of things have you implemented in the last 5 years?
I think it's just continued the library on its journey. So we do a lot of events every year.
Yeah.
In 2018, we had our 250th anniversary, and that was really the springboard for a number of conversations that took place that took us to work with a number of partner organisations to organise a Leeds Lit Fest, which is happening early March. We've opened the doors a lot more. We've engaged more school groups. We have extended the way we use social media, so things like Twitter and Instagram. We've also even got our own podcast. So we're trying to look at different ways to engage with people. I think libraries can sometimes be the domain of people who are semi-retired or retired, and we want to make sure that, ideally everyone in Leeds who grows up in Leeds at some point in time will come to the library. And so everything we do is focused around trying to make that achievable.
Yeah, 100%. I remember seeing, I came to visit for the first time, I think, through, the Heritage Open Days.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just blew my mind. I didn't even know it was there. And then just to be inside it, it's like stepping back in time. It's just, and if you're a lover of books, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful place. So you have some really interesting collections there, Carl. Can you tell me a little bit about any of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the collection goes back over 500 years. The core collection, which is the original books that was collected together in 1768, are held in our librarian's office. But we've got a strong travel collection because clearly people in Leeds during the 19th century had a wanderlust and interest for different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So in our main room on the balcony that overlooks the main room, we've got a big travel collection that is quite astounding if you start reading it.
Yeah.
In our basement, we've got a historic fiction collection, which we're currently working on to conserve and bring back into life, so to speak. That's sort of 7,000 items. We've also got a more contemporary non-fiction collection in terms of political biography, which is also particularly strong. But the way the collections evolve is members recommend books for the library to purchase. So in effect, the library collection is a history of the reading interests of people in Leeds for over 250 years.
Mm, that's amazing.
Which
And so
is,
if you're looking for sort of, if you're looking to sort of research history in Leeds, it's also a good resource for that.
yeah, we're very fortunate. The Thorsby Society, which is Leeds' sort of leading history society, their collection is based in the library as well. So we have a Thorsby room, and there's several thousand books in there that go, from a history point of view, stretch back over 40, 50, well, 100 plus years, detailing different aspects of not just Leeds, but the West Yorkshire region.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty unique. So we've both got a very broad fiction and non-fiction collection, but also a strong local studies collection as well.
That's just amazing. And can you tell me a little bit about some of the events that you hold there?
Yeah, we try and shake things up a bit because I'm very clear that there are many good places in Leeds that do really good events. So for the Leeds Library to do events, we need to do something slightly different or that complements stuff that's already going on and we don't compete.
Yeah.
So we have a regular spoken word night called Chalpin that's curated by a gentleman called Matt Abbott, who's quite well known in the poetry and live performance circles. We have Tales of Whatever, which is a storytelling comedy night that we first came across in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Fringe. We put regular speaker events on, lecture events. We've also put quite a few theatre performances on that work well in the environment of a library. So we do Nunky Theatre, who do ghost stories. We have we have Gerald Dickens, the great grandson of Charles Dickens, performing here later next week as part of the Leeds Lit Fest.
Oh, really? How fascinating. He's one of my absolute favourite authors.
Yeah, he's good. Gerald he's toured the world, giving his one person show and sort of reciting works of his great granddad. And we've been after him to perform at the library for probably 4 years now. So we're really glad he's coming next week.
Yeah.
And he has a big following. He does a lot of stuff in America where he sells out quite often.
That's just going to be amazing. It must be quite difficult for you, I suppose, to sort of see all the events and stop yourself from going to every single one.
Yeah, I mean, we're a small team, so to be quite frank, I'm often at every single one, working on it. But no, it's good. It's good to see new people walk into the library and get the wow factor, and then enjoy a really nice event in a place they didn't even know existed. And hopefully, they tell their friends and acquaintances the good positive experience they've had. So we often use the events to sort of spread the word of the library because it's the most effective way to do so.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Yeah, I remember seeing a sort of a paranormal investigation live on Facebook in the library. I watched it for quite a while, and I mean, I know obviously things aren't going to be happening every second, but I watched it for quite a while. But I was quite disappointed that I didn't see sort of because I've been in the sort of in your basement before. You know, you've got those big filing cabinets. I was expecting any second for all the tickets to come flying out, but of course that didn't happen.
No, we do have a resident ghost. He's an old
Oh,
librarian
really?
that worked here about 1880. So there's a quite a famous ghost story linked to the library.
Oh, really? And have you ever
What
seen
yeah,
it?
one the guy was called Sternberg, and his successor was a librarian called McAllister, who ended up being, I think, the librarian of the British Library or the London Library. But one evening, he was working like McAllister was working late at night and saw this face appear out from behind a shelf, and was a bit spooked because the library had been closed. So he got a gun out of the safe to chase
Oh,
the person, and the person disappeared into the gents' toilet where there was nowhere else to go and disappeared. And he described to colleagues the next day what happened. And Sternberg, the librarian, was quite a distinctive looking individual, and he described Sternberg. And then since then, there's been all sorts of occurrences and experiences in the library. Most staff have experienced something happening that's a bit weird. I've worked in quite a lot of historical buildings and never felt much about anything. But in here, there's a strange atmosphere at night if you're in a building on your own. And I've heard footsteps walking around the building at times.
oh, that sounds right up my street.
That's
Having a
cool.
resident ghost is just perfect.
Mm.
And out of all of the collections and books and resources that you have, is there anything in particular that's special to you, Carl?
Um, I like the the contemporary travel collection that we've got, which is it's not the largest collection, but it's just the sort of type of reading that I'm into really. Okay, we've got 2 free authors next week at the Lit Fest sort of linked into that. People like Peter Fiennes and Tim Marshall as well. So it's just my personal interest in reading, but there's something for everybody basically.
Yeah, definitely. And so you've got Leeds Lit Fest. You've got lots of events coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so the festival takes place around the first week in March every year. It's a partnership involving Hyde Park Book Club, Carriageworks Theatre, Leeds Libraries, Milliam, Headingley Lit Fest, Leeds Church Institute, ourselves and Streets Magazine. And Leeds Big Bookend. And we get together as a partnership and we put on about 50 or 60 events each year in about 7 or 8 different venues. And we all program different aspects of the program. So it's a broad mix that suiting each organisation's interests. So across the 9 days, I think we've got 50 events taking place in about 7 or 8 venues. And the library's hosting about 16 of the events.
Wow, that's a lot. And so, are you just so busy dealing with the events that are taking place in the Leeds Library that you don't get a chance to see anything at other venues, or do you get to sort of move around a little and see a bit more of it?
Um, everyone tries to support everyone else. I mean, the thing about the COVID crisis is, like many other festivals, our festival this year will be linear. So there's not many events that take place at the same time. 2 years ago, we would have say 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, we'd have 5 events taking place across the city at the same time.
Mm.
But because we're trying to make sure people can watch events online, it means it's generally one event taking place in one time slot. So it makes it a lot easier for people to sort of not only do their own event, but also to look at other things taking place as well.
And are there particular things that you're looking forward to seeing at other venues?
Yeah, there's a Bronte Cabaret taking place at the Carriageworks Theatre next Saturday night. So that's the 5th of March. That should be good.
Yeah.
Hyde Park Book Club have got Leeds Arts University doing a piece on Monday evening. And there's lots of kids' activity taking place at the Leeds Libraries on Saturday the 26th of Feb. So
Cool.
it's quite a good eclectic partnership of lots of different people, but we always get on with each other, and it's good.
Oh, it sounds absolutely fantastic, and it sounds like there's definitely something for everyone, and in sort of different parts of Leeds as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and hopefully next year 2 years ago we had a festival that I think we went to 25 different venues, almost in every single postcode in the city, and obviously because of COVID, we've had to sort of bring the festival a bit more back centrally, but we're keen to expand again and obviously do a festival that's fit for Leeds 2023.
Of course, yeah, that's exciting. And so what you've also got, you have a podcast as well. I noticed on your website. I haven't had a listen yet, but I will do. What kind of things are talked about on there, Carl?
Yeah, it's led by two relatively new members of staff, like called Molly McGrath and Jack Sinkins, who we appointed through the Kickstart scheme. We'd been talking about doing a podcast for 3 or 4 years and never been able to find the time and resource to do it because, as you know, it's not something you can just do quickly and sort out. So we've given them a free rein to talk to different personalities who've got associations with the library. Sometimes it might be a member, sometimes it might be an author, sometimes it might be someone who has worked here for some time, but to try and vary it. I've purposely not been on the podcast yet, and I think that's a positive because there's plenty of people to tell stories about the place without having to talk to someone like me. But
Well, it
it's
means
got a
that
really
we
good
get you on
following.
here.
Yeah, but it's got a really good following. You know, it's sort of people all over the world have been listening to it, and they've done an amazing job. So we're really pleased
Excellent.
with what they've done.
I'll definitely be having a listen to that. Do you feel like having more sort of online events and online activities? Did you sort of have to go into that more during during COVID and everybody locked down and everything? And do you think that's helped widen your audience?
Yeah, because at the heart of the libraries are members, and obviously for several months they couldn't come into the city centre to engage in the library.
Hmm.
We had no choice really, but to sort of learn very quickly things like Zoom, things like setting up an e-book library, how you engage with people when they can't come into the building, when the building is part of the library experience.
Yeah.
So we've had to learn quickly, and I think there's a lot of good practice that not just us, but many other people have found and done and implemented that will stand in good stead in the future. It's quite interesting to do events online where you're randomly getting people watching from New Zealand and
Yeah.
an American. You think, well, we would never have come into contact with these people if it hadn't been through technology. So it opens your horizons a little bit. I think it's just trying to make sure it's proportionate because you can get lost down a rabbit hole if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But I think we've found a good balance.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's brilliant as well for people to, anyone who's got any sort of accessibility problems, despite the pandemic. I think it's fantastic for them to be able to log on and be part of things.
No, totally. And going back to the Lit Fest in 2021, the whole Lit Fest was online. And, and from the library's point of view, we did 1 or 2 events live from the library, so we had cameras here, so people could still see the library existed, and to gave a speaker a context and a backdrop to it as well. So it's made a massive difference. And quite frankly, there are a lot of people now who are very nervous about coming into the city centre,
Hmm.
using public transport, and we don't want to lose contact with these people.
Yeah, that's totally true. It's not like everything is just over just because somebody somewhere decided it, is it?
No, absolutely.
And people still have their fears about certain things. So yeah, that's fantastic. What would you say? Have you always had sort of a relationship with books throughout your life, Carl?
Um, on and off, I've always enjoyed reading. Um, it's not. I never foresaw myself working in the library. I've got to be honest, because my background's sort of charity management and arts management. But there's nothing better than having the time to sort of sit down and quietly read a book and indulge in sort of a long form experience of enjoying someone else's thoughts and opinions. We live in such a fast society now, and with the internet meaning that you can click on 30, 40 web pages in a matter of seconds, that to just sit down and engage in one person's stream of consciousness for several hours, I think is something that is important, and it's important not to lose that.
I think so as well. I mean, I think any way to encourage anybody to read is great. So if the only way people are reading is through e-readers or, things online, then that is something. But I agree with you. I mean, I wouldn't like to sound sort of old fashioned, but I feel like I'm a massive bibliophile. I've got thousands of books, and I think there's just something about the physical nature of a book. And you can watch a film adaptation of something that you've read, and it might be brilliant, but you're not in the if you're with the character in the book, if they're starving, you're starving. If they're, in poverty, you're in poverty. And I feel like it's a much more, I can't think what I mean. It's you're much more involved. You're much more in the moment, I think.
No, I totally agree. I mean, holding a book is quite humans as a species, we're quite tactile. It's about holding and touching, and so to hold a book in a hand and to see the pages and flick by, that's part of the experience in a way. We have an ebook library, so I'm not against reading stuff on ebooks, but it's not quite the same of seeing that you've read 33% of a book than have a book in the hand and you can see where the journey you've been on in terms of what you've read and what you've got to go to, and you can flick through the chapters, and it's quite, that's part of the experience.
Yeah, definitely. I really believe that. I'm going to put you on the spot now, Carl. Can you tell me what your favourite ever book is?
Oh, crikey. Primary Colours by Anonymous.
Oh, I don't know that one. I'm making a note right now. And what is that about?
That is there's only about 4 or 5 books in history that have ever been written by writers who didn't give a name. It's a fictionalized account of a Bill Clinton presidential attempting, his campaign to become president, and it's written clearly by an insider, and no one knows who the
Ah,
insider is. So it's a fictionalized account of that.
oh wow! And so the anonymous was on purpose. It's not that nobody ever, it wasn't like that. It's an old book.
I've never looked into. I'm sure the person's been named by now, but it's just quite. I always find it intriguing, and the Clinton campaign didn't know who'd written it, and
And
it's not overly positive. I mean, it's not a rose tinted perspective on Bill Clinton by any means, but
no. And did it sort of change your perception of that whole time?
it just adds a bit more colour, shall we say?
Yeah.
Uh, just gives it a bit more colour and alignment because I'm quite interested in politics anyway, and especially American politics. So I just found Clinton a very interesting character.
And have you always lived in Leeds, Carl?
No, I'm originally from Sheffield, so I came to Leeds as an 18-year-old to go to university at. When I applied, it was Leeds Metropolitan. Well, no, it was actually Leeds Polytechnic.
Oh right.
But by the time I'd started my course, it was Leeds Met University, and obviously it's now Leeds Beckett University.
And then you just never left.
Um, yeah, pretty much stayed there. It's about 3 months after graduation, I went back to Sheffield, but then I came back up here again straight after for a job. So I've been here ever since.
So that means that you're perfectly qualified to answer the 3 questions that I ask every guest. The first one being, what would you say is great about the city of Leeds?
Um, I like the greenery in the suburbs. That is a pretty evenly distributed. Things like the Leeds Liverpool Canal, the Roundhay Park, the lots of open spaces. Also, the city centre, I think, is really nice and compact. I mean, we're a big city, but you can get around it on foot, and there's a lots of different variety in the cultural scene, in the art scene for people to go to stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And if you had to choose something not so great, I have an inkling that I know what you're going to say.
Well,
What would you go for?
as you know, I was slightly delayed for this because I was stuck in traffic, and I just seen the inner ring road of Leeds and the roads going into the city centre of Leeds. I don't know what the solution is, but it's been like this for 30 odd years.
Hmm.
It's just the whole Leeds can get snarled up quicker than any city I know.
Yeah, madness. And you're not alone with your choice there. We've had quite a lot of those. And if you were speaking to somebody who had been a resident of Leeds for a very long time, would you be able to tell them about something that you would consider to be a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Um, I would say Springwood in Guiseley.
Oh yeah.
So I've lived most of my time in Leeds, and there's a walk from Guiseley into Springwood, and it's a beautiful little wood. But it also leads people down to Leeds Liverpool, to the Leeds Canal. There's walks into Belden, into Ayrshire. It's just a lovely little. It's not a large space. It's not. It's not even. It's not somewhere people go to check out. But if you live in Guiseley, it's a place that you might go for a walk on a Sunday afternoon. But there's like a stream and a river, and it's just sort of really quite tranquil. And a good place to take the kids, sort of looking for acorns and those sort of things. It's good. It's a good quiet spot.
That sounds beautiful. I think it's a part of Leeds I don't know a lot about, so I will definitely see if I can get there and have a little walk around that area.
Okay.
And what will you be doing with the rest of your day today, Carl?
Um, well, two things. One is Leeds Lit Fest starts tomorrow, so there's lots of planning to do with that. And secondly, by the time this podcast cast goes out, we've announced that the library will have bought the building next door.
Oh,
So we're
fascinating.
expanding into 15 Commercial Street, our next door building, and that's the first time we've expanded anywhere in over 150 years. And I'm hoping that if not today or Monday, that we complete the purchase of the building, which is a massive thing. It's something we've worked on for 6 months, and
Wow, how exciting.
it's been a bit of a labour of love and toil for the trustees and the staff and myself. And touch wood, we'll complete on a purchase today.
Oh, well, best of luck with that. And what is the building like inside? Is it as sort of stunning as yours?
We hope it complements it. It used to be our trespass shop, but we've got plans to create a dedicated event space, open up, have a more relaxed sort of coffee area and reading space for members and non-members. It will mean we can accommodate school groups and external events and heritage activities like you experienced with the Heritage Open Day. We can do far more of that. And we've also got 30,000 items of our collection that are currently off-site. It means we can bring all the collection under one roof for the first time in our history.
Oh God, that sounds absolutely brilliant. It'll be great as well because I mean, imagine if you're having a sort of an event space on the ground floor, it's going to be um, more visible to people, so more people are going to know all of the beauties that you've got going on there.
Yeah, well, fun. I mean, actually, ironically, the event space will be on the second floor. But what I should say, the key thing that the building will give us, and in terms of our access, is we are looking to install a lift, which
Oh, of
will mean
course.
the first time the building's properly accessible to all the community. Because you've been in the building, it's listed. There is no lift in the building. The welfare facilities aren't accessible to all the community. So we can have decent facilities so anyone who wants to can get in a lift, walk around the building, and will get a warm, positive vibe from checking out a place that everyone in Leeds should know exists, basically.
Yeah, definitely. That's absolutely brilliant. What great news for the city. Thank you so very much for coming along to speak to me today, Carl. I know that you're very, very busy, so I appreciate it. And good luck with the Lit Fest and everything else that's going on. And I'm sure I won't be able to stay away. I'll be coming along soon.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. If you haven't visited the Leeds Library before, it's really a must-see, and you should. There's lots of links in the podcast notes that can tell you about all of the events and exciting things that go on there at Leeds Library, so do get involved. I did a little bit of research into the ghost of Sternberg because I just thought the story was fascinating. And according to an article by Richard Smythe in On magazine, a seance was convened by a group of young librarians in 1885 at the library, and they reported that Vincent Sternberg made a startling confession that when he was the head librarian at the Leeds Library, he'd given library books away to his friends. What a great story. The featured track this week is Shitting Bricks Lucky 13 by Undisclosed Addictions. I hope you enjoy it.
What's happening in this great city?